1985, one video game starring a plucky plumber came along and changed home console gaming forever. Today we're looking back at the legendary NES classic that helped revive the entire video game industry and put it back on its feet. This is Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Mario! 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 Mario!
So after the success of the arcade game Mario Bros., which I've also done a video on, you could check that out, Nintendo wanted a much bigger adventure, a more broad adventure for its new console at the time, the Nintendo Entertainment System, which I'll be referring to NES from now on. So in the early 1980s, development started with the legendary Nintendo designer Shigeru Miyamoto, alongside a legendary programmer Takashi Tezuka, and alongside a legendary composer Koji Kondo. These three were the key players in this game's success, but they would go on to be key players in many game successes. Like, these three are just iconic Nintendo employees that just became bigger, like almost, I would say bigger than the company in some respect. Like Miyamoto especially, like, he could leave Nintendo and people would care, you know, like people would still follow. I don't think I'll ever do that though. But yeah, Nintendo wanted to create a game that felt bigger than the arcade games that we were getting at the time. Games that encouraged exploration, more than one screen, showed off smooth side-scrolling gameplay, and just gameplay in general that could appeal to kids and adults. So yeah, the team went ahead and just focused heavily on like movement first. Miyamoto wanted jumping to be fun, like first and foremost. Like that had to be the thing that was perfected, was the jumping, and I agree, because that's pretty much what you do for most of the game. And then after that, they started spending months and on refining the running speed, the momentum, the physics of when you jump and hit enemies, and just enemy interactions in general. But yeah, the jumping was the first thing that they were trying to perfect. Speaking of jumping, when it comes to a tutorial for the game, I honestly think that World 1-1 is the absolute perfect tutorial that this game could have got, like, ever. It is the first level of the game, but it's not just that. It is literally, it's more than that. This thing teaches you everything you need to know about this game for the rest of its adventure, and it doesn't say a damn word to you. It doesn't have any text. You just kind of learn. It's a trial and error kind of level. What happens if you don't jump over the Goomba that's coming at you right away? You die. So now you know when the game starts again, you gotta jump over him or squash him. What can I smash the bricks? Can I smash the coin blocks? Oh, coins come out of the shiny ones. Okay, cool. What's this mushroom? Oh, damn, I'm big now. Oh, now I could smash the bricks into little pieces. That's interesting. World 1-1 has become one of the most famous examples of game design ever created, and I think definitely laid a blueprint for not only Mario games, but just Nintendo games, and even like any game after this. Like, I think that anyone who's making especially like a side scroller, you can look at 1-1 and see what it accomplished, and I think people would agree that like some designers would try to implement what that level teaches you in Mario Brothers into their own game. And I think that's wonderful.
Nintendo is much more than that. Nintendo is, well, almost the most fun a kid can have. Here's Joel Loy.
This boy is doing more than just playing a video game.
So yeah, in 1985, they released Super Mario Bros. Into the wild, and man, like, everyone had Nintendo fever in the 80s. It was insane. Like I said, this game brought back the industry back to its feet, because there was the big 1983 crash that happened, and it happened because there was just absolute garbage on the shelves, and there was too much of it. It's pretty much what it boils down to, and no one cared about it. So this single game got people back into video games, and I think for that, it commands respect just for that reason. I think that's insane. I think that's incredible. You know what I mean? And, it wasn't just something bright and colorful for the kids. Like, adults were really enjoying it. Critics were saying it was great. It was bright, colorful, amazing soundtrack. It was catchy. The multi-screen levels, just incredible controls. It was just something that people did not ever see up until that point, and it was a revolution, really, you know. I myself wouldn't get to play this game because obviously I wasn't born in the 80s. I was born in 95. I myself played this game at my grandmother's house probably around the year 2001, 2002. I was about 6 or 7 years old, and I remember playing this game and just, you know, I loved it. I never beat it. I wouldn't beat this game until I was damn near an adult, but I remember just messing around with it and just, you know, having fun. You're a kid, you're just kind of having fun moving it around and stuff, and I knew at that point that Mario was a big deal, you know, and that pretty much made me a Mario fan. There was a time in my life when I was younger where I would only really play Mario games and Nintendo games for that matter. Like, not even a Zelda game I would play. I was just strictly Mario boy. So, it would take a lot of other things to happen for me to, like, finally branch out into other video games. But yeah, for a long, long time, I was just a Mario gamer, and, you know, it was fun. I look back at that stuff really fondly, but Super Mario Brothers, man. It's absolutely iconic, and I dare you to say it's not. So when you start the game, you are automatically greeted by bright, colorful graphics, simple controls, and instantly recognizable music. Koji Kondo's soundtrack is absolutely, like, legendary at this point in time. Overworld theme is instantly recognizable worldwide, and it's been recreated in damn near almost every Mario game since. There's always some kind of iteration of it. There's always a little melody incorporated into other soundtracks, into other songs. Like, this is just one of the most iconic pieces of video game music ever made, and it just goes with this game so well. It just perfectly matches the pace of the gameplay throughout pretty much your entire playthrough. Like, the cheerfulness of when you're on World 1-1, because it's daytime and it's like bright colorful graphics and you're going from left to right and blah blah blah, and then when you go underground it's got like a bit of a bop and it's a little bit mysterious, and then when you go to the castle stages it's like, oh damn, this is like intimidating, there's a tension here. It did everything perfectly at the time, and like I dare you to give me a more iconic and recognizable soundtrack for a video game. Like, you just can't. This is it right here. The goal of the game is to pretty much rescue Princess Peach from King Bowser. At this time, though, she was not called Princess Peach. She was Princess Toadstool. And he was not called Bowser. He was just King Koopa. But yeah, that is the gist. There is not much story here, although the manual does say that Bowser transformed a lot of the toads into blocks, and it kind of is weird when you think of Mario smashing blocks into pieces. Like, does that mean he's killing toads? I don't know. But anyways, you are going to travel through 8 worlds with a variety of levels. I already mentioned it, but you got underground stages, you got the normal stages, you got water levels, you're going to have castle levels. It's a nice change of scenery. Not everything is the same. The change in music that accompany these stages, like I said, just fantastic work here. But it's nice, especially the water levels do definitely give you the biggest variety just because of the movement. You are swimming, and I think for the time the swimming still holds up. I don't think it's bad. I thought it was actually pretty good if you play this game today. The swimming later can become egregious in other games maybe, but this one, I mean, I thought it was still okay. But yeah, other than that though, everything is just left to right running, like you'd expect. But yeah, it's a nice change of scenery. I think you got a nice array of levels and graphics and just, you know, vibes over here. Going through these levels, you're going to be stomping on enemies, collecting coins, and indulging in power-ups, which I would say is the funnest part of the game once you collect one of these. You got the super mushroom, which is the basic mushroom that'll just get you a little bigger and you can get hit once. The fire flower, which is just an iconic item at this point as well. You know, Mario eats the flower, turns white and red, and now he can spit fireballs, or throw fireballs. He doesn't spit anything. And then there's the Starman. This is a power-up you'll probably rarely ever see, but when you get it, you are invincible for a short amount of time, and you can just absolutely kill everything. And if you have the chance to kill a Hammer Brother on a Starman, do it. But speaking of Hammer Brothers, man, the enemies in this game went on to become iconic enemies in every other Mario game as well, and pretty much became the norm. You got your Goombas, right? The most common enemy. That's the first thing you see when you start the game. You got the Koopa Troopas, which are the turtles. You got the Paratroopas, which are the flying, jumping turtles. Buzzy Beetle. Those are the tough, like, helmeted beetle guys that they kind of move like Koopas, but they're the one thing that's different is they're immune to fireballs, so you have to stomp on them. Then we got Spinies, which again are like the Buzzy Beetles, but they have spikes on their shell, so you can't jump on them. You actually do have to use fireballs or just avoid them completely. You got Lakitu. I always hated Lakitu as a kid, this piece of shit. Just fucking, he throws Spinies at you. He's a little Koopa on a cloud and he flies around. God damn, I hate him. Then you got Bullet Bill, which honestly as a kid I remember being super intimidated by Bullet Bill because they are just bullets coming out of a cannon. They're just missiles coming at you, and they travel in like straight lines, and you just had to be good at dodging. And when the game gets harder and there's just a bunch of these flying at you, man, it becomes a battle. Then you got piranha plants, you know, the plants that come out of the pipes. You got the bloopers that you'd only really see underwater, the little squid guys. Cheep Cheeps, which are the puffer fish that are also just underwater. You lying piece of shit. Then you have this guy, Podoboo. Podoboo? Podoboo. I'm sticking with Podoboo. And these are just the fireballs that come up and down, you know, jump vertically out of the lava pits in a castle. But like, I didn't know they actually had names. Like, I thought it was just a fireball, but okay. And then you have, I guess this counts as an enemy, sure. It's more of an obstacle, but the fire bar, right? The fireballs that are like rotating on a block, and it's just a bar of fire. Those are always intimidating as well. And then you got the final boss of the game, Bowser. There's also, I guess you could talk about false Bowser, because you will be, you know, you'll face Bowser many times, but until you actually get to the end of the game and face the last Bowser, you are pretty much defeating false Bowser. So watch out for false Bowsers. But yeah, lots of iconic enemies, and yeah, I don't know, man. Like, looking how everything just started here, how they looked like here, and now in modern games, you see what they look like today. And even in, like, the Super Mario Brothers movies, like, their movie counterparts, it's just insane to see how far we've come with, you know, graphics and just interpretations in general. But yeah, this game had plenty of secrets. Whether it was hidden blocks, or my personal favorite, the warp zones. Those were so cool to discover. Like, I'll never forget the first time I went over the intended warp pipe in 1-2, and then you ended up in a warp zone that you could use to skip to World 4. Like, that was insane, and that's how you could beat the game, you know, in like under an hour, just by using warp zones. And going out of your way in this game often, I think, rewarded your curiosity more times than not. So always cool to get a warp zone there. I feel like when I review old games, difficulty is something that needs to be addressed, because back then, we rarely saw any kind of difficulty settings in games, unlike today. I don't think there was any of that. You know, it was the Wild Wild West back then. So with Super Mario Brothers, I'd say it starts approachable and pretty easy, but it gets significantly harder later. And like, the limited lives create tension unless you do the famous 1-up trick. I recommend you learn how to do that. But yeah, no save system. That means you gotta commit to it. Like, you gotta do it in one go. Unless you want to be ballsy, you leave the system on, you go to school or whatever, you come back and you hope to God no one turned it off. Fucking hated when they turned it off. But yeah, along with that, there's some really frustrating decisions here in the game. I'm not going to say the game is perfect, because it really isn't. Whether it's cheap enemy placement, nearly impossible precision jumping, or the damn castle stages, honestly, I'd say there's a difficulty spike here. And the difficulty spike that we are looking at here, it would discourage new players of today if they somehow still haven't played this game and are curious. I do think once this spike kind of hits, I don't know if players of today are willing to kind of see it through. But in spite of that, though, Super Mario Brothers, it's still a great game, man. It's an absolute classic through and through. Almost nothing is as classic as this. You know, it's got tight gameplay, excellent pacing, creative level design, replayability. It's got that sauce that Nintendo would be known for with like a million other games, but it all started here, you know? It's easy to pick up and play, difficult to master. That is Nintendo to me. A lot of their games are like that. This game defined Nintendo's identity, created one of gaming's most iconic mascots to this day, Red Luigi. Influenced nearly every platformer that followed because this was, and in some cases still is, the blueprint on how to make a great 2D side-scrolling game. Even decades later, like, Super Mario Bros. Remains one of the most important and playable games ever fucking made. You look at games of today, you got your Silk Songs, you got your Celestes. There's been a resurgence in side-scrolling games recently, in recent years, that, like, and it's all thanks to Super Mario Bros. Super Mario Bros. Showed everybody how to do this thing. And it is the blueprint. It is literally the blueprint for a side-scrolling game. You cannot tell me otherwise. It may look simple today, but its design is like nearly flawless. And honestly, dude, whether you're a retro gaming fan or playing it for the first time, this NES classic, fuck, it still deserves respect all across the board. So show it some damn respect.